It's not 3 months preparation, 1 month preparation. It is 4-5 years of preparation. When you disassociate yourself from that position, are you still that brand? I have met people who are said कि यार ये कोई अच्छा सा प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं ताकि ना हमें कोई अवार्ड मिल जाए, कोई मैं अपना मेरा प्रमोशन हो जाए, तो वो भी करना है, करो, दैट्स नॉट बैड. बट इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू शो बिजनेस इम्पैक्ट विद डेटा, then the value is nothing.
You'll end up having a very strong impact when you say, here is the finance data, here is the ops data, this is how they are marrying together. And actually you see that's the reason in most of the good organization, CFO is the guy who's the growth partner for CEO.
Culture is values. Okay, culture is where you believe in certain principles and then start doing it every day across everything. If say your culture is customer first culture, जैसे Amazon का मंत्रा है to be the earth's most customer centric company. हम gut use करेंगे, पर gut will be supported by an hypothesis which will be analyzed and then it will be acted. If you look at how marketing has changed over the last 2 decades, पहले most of the marketing was brand marketing. Okay, you run money on TV and print and then you pray to God कि आपका campaign successful हो जाएगा. But now, and if I tell you there is about $1 trillion spent in marketing worldwide and 70% is on digital media. Customer journey is very online, offline marketplace. तो पूरा convoluted journey है. The good part is at least the customer journey, some part is digitized and available for the brand. So if you understand the way customer is moving, all these platforms provide a way to market to them, whether it's on Google ads, whether it's on Meta ads, whether it's on marketplace ads, you can target them and bring them back. The greatest battle is at home, not in the mind.
Welcome all to our next podcast on CXO Talks. We have our guest Saurabh Agarwal today. Saurabh is a mechanical engineer by education, a data and analytics expert by passion, and someone who's helping businesses with the growth marketing. Having spent good 25 years in the industry working with multiple GCCs, Indian conglomerates, and India startups, specifically digital native, he's the one who has actually seen data evolving in the business and has been using analytics significantly. Today we are going to be talking to Saurabh about his journey from being an employee to a consultant and his thoughts around how data and analytics help businesses in these times. So welcome, Saurabh. Warm welcome to our show. Pretty happy. It's been a while that we've been discussing and extremely glad to be talking to you today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Arun. We have had this conversation for almost now a quarter, and great to be on the first episode on 2026.
Oh, yes.
It's a great thing to start with.
Interesting. So, Saurabh, let's start the conversation with something that is very core to you. You always talk about data, using data and analytics to boost performance at the business, and it obviously involves a lot of divisions within the business and varies obviously basis the kind of business that you work with. But for somebody who's coming in with a mechanical engineering background, how did this journey start with you? There is a lot that you have done in last 25 years.
Yeah, that's a great question, Arun, and it forces me to reflect कि ये आ कहाँ से रहा है. And definitely जो बनिया mind है, that is always ingrained with numbers and looking at how to drive money impact, है ना. So my journey actually started very influencing through my father, who used to do programming a lot for structural engineering, and I used to go with him to data centers. He used to submit the code in the night. 2 दिन बाद निकलता था output. So I got exposure to computers very early.
And you're talking about early 90s.
Late 80s.
Late 80s.
So yeah, so that time घर में PC personal computer तो कुछ होता नहीं था. It was there. So I got exposed to computers, programming, and very early, and I learned little bit playing on the side. But when I became an engineer, I wanted to become a computer science engineer, but rank अच्छी नहीं आई तो mechanical engineer बने. And I think so that was good because it helped me understand the subject, okay, and how to use the entire engineering life cycle. And mechanical engineering is a very horizontal thing. वो सब कुछ
Yeah.
functions, operations सब सिखा देते हैं.
Hmm.
And but I graduated in Y2K year 2000, and that time it was an IT boom. So I was placed into Tech Mahindra. That time it was called MBT.
Yeah.
So I started my career in information technology side, and did couple of switches and there, but I went from coding into database management, which was organizing a lot of data into Sybase and different places. And I started, rather than building systems or coding systems, I started thinking कि इसके अंदर data क्या है. So I used to work with a company called Electronic Data Systems, जो Emphasis BFL ने खरीद लिया था. तो वहाँ पे हमने टेलीकॉम बिलिंग सिस्टम का बहुत सारा डेटा का काम किया था, एंड देन फिडिलिटी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स पे किया था. एंड देन आई मूव्ड इनटू अ कंपनी कॉल्ड अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस हियर इन गुड़गांव. And there I was long, almost like 11 years, and started as executing marketing campaigns for US, and then did multiple things. I did almost like 8-9 roles. From being an analyst, my last job there was as a director.
Okay.
So marketing, analytics, data, tech, building big data, Hadoop systems, काफ़ी सारा किया था, but it was mostly for the global audience, US, UK and all. इंडिया बिजनेस उनके लिए बहुत छोटा है. इंडिया बिजनेस पे भी आई वर्क, बट व्हाट आई रियलाइज्ड इज फॉर मी टू ग्रो बियॉन्ड दैट वाज टू गो टू यूएस. एंड आई थॉट कि इफ आई हैव टू बी इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ डेटा, इंडिया से अच्छा जगह कोई नहीं है. एंड दैट टाइम आई was looking at opportunities in India, and that time under Cyrus Misty's leadership in Tata Group, one of my old bosses was building a capability center for Tata Group to do Solto software analytics for them.
Okay.
It was called Tata IQ, Bangalore में था. So we did lot of analytics for everything, insurance, online, offline, Chroma, Steel, Tata Motors, and I got exposure to 20-30 sectors. जितनी टाइप की कंपनीज हैं उन सब के लिए उसके आगे वर्ड एनालिटिक्स लगा दो, हमने किया होगा. And I realized how to quickly learn analytics use cases there. It was a great experience. We also built the Tata Neo program ka previous version.
Okay.
So I got huge exposure there. After there, I joined a company called Motherson Sumi, which is into manufacturing of spare parts. Automobiles. That place I got huge exposure to manufacturing analytics at scale क्या होता है. So they have 250 plus factories. I visited 20 countries in the world. तो वो बहुत बड़ा exposure था. I was there 3-4 years. And around that time, I was looking कि यार what is the next big challenge should I look at. And I thought कि हाँ मतलब working in digital native companies would be good. And I applied multiple places. So Lenskart was after me to see, because I had exposure to B2B, B2C and manufacturing. So after almost like 6 to 8 months of discussion, I finally thought कि ठीक है चलो let's try it. And it was a great experience for me, because I not only did a little bit of tech, huge analytics, but also took up some business function roles for 3 to 6 months, like around marketing, operations. And I saw the power of using data to transform business. And that time the company was, when I joined, it was what, 300 to 400 crores, and by the time I left, about in 3 years, it was 2000 crores plus. So I saw that huge growth happening, and how a data culture is built. So that time I thought यार मतलब if I can do with one companies and others, I cannot be hopping jobs every day, because I love to drive data driven transformation. And many people used to approach me, हमें ऐसे help कर दो, वैसे help कर दो, and you cannot help them while you are employed. So I thought कि why not work with multiple people and look at a much more bigger impact. So that is where I got in touch with you, and you advised. I still remember the long walks we used to take in the society. And I got the confidence कि चलो try करके देखते हैं क्या होगा मतलब.
Right. But interestingly, this is this journey that I'm sure a lot of people resonate with, wherein they have spent a good enough time, showing the impact that they can make with their respective employers, but have somewhere in their mind that I can do much more, for myself. But there are always that risk in the mind, which kind of delays this decision at times, if I may say so. And I actually also have passed through that phase. I also spent good 10
Yes.
years in the industry and then moved here, and that's a good story to tell. And I'm sure everybody has a different set of story. From your perspective, specifically with respect to leaving a job wherein you are impactful, which means that you are in a very stable position, to saying that, okay, let me start something of my own. Obviously, it is majorly about getting out of the comfort zone, right? Both financially as well as from a career perspective. What is it that actually, helped you take that decision?
So see, this is the second time I was planning to take the decision. So first time was before I joined Lenskart. I thought कि मैं कुछ अपना शुरू करता हूँ.
हाँ,
कोविड था, सब कुछ ना कुछ शुरू कर रहे थे.
हाँ,
But I realized कि I was not prepared myself to do. Okay, mentally, family wise, and confidence भी उतना नहीं था. Okay, and to be honest, the greatest battle is at home, not in the mind. Okay, so if you're not able to convince your family, your parents, your wife, इट्स अ डेली बैटल. यू विल सी उनकी शक्ल पे नजर आ जाएगा कि यार तुम क्या कर रहे हो. तो जो बिटवीन दैट एंड माई लेंस कार्ट जर्नी आई रियलाइज कि दिस इज माई लास्ट जॉब आई एम डूइंग. मुझे क्लियर था माइंड में कि ये मैं आखिरी जॉब कर रहा हूँ. तो that it's not 3 months preparation, 1 month preparation, it is 4-5 years of preparation. Okay, the second piece which I feel is, why are you wanting to start? Okay, many people say कि यार आज बॉस से लड़ाई हो गई, आज छोड़ना है. तो पर वो छोड़ना है वो फिर मोमेंट्री होता है. व्हेन यू स्टार्ट हिटिंग, जब वो 31st आती है या 5th आती है, जब बहुत सारे बिल्स आ जाते हैं, जो मंथली हमें डोप मिलता है अपना सैलरी का, तो वो एक अलग ड्रग है जिसके लिए हम बहुत हैबिचुअल हैं. सो वो भी यू हैव टू लीव इट. एंड द थर्ड थिंग इज, व्हेन वी आर इन अ जॉब ना, पीपल गिव अस अ लॉट ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट. Now, is that respect for the person or is for the position? So that is another thing my father told me कि भाई वो तुम्हें ना, सौरभ, ये तुम्हें ना इसलिए सब भाव देते हैं क्योंकि वो पोजीशन पे बैठे हो आप. When you disassociate yourself from that position, are you still that brand? Okay. So this is the third thing which I felt, realized कि if I'm not in that position, I'm not respected. So do I have built my own distribution, my own network? So that is what I worked on. So I would say preparation चाहिए. Why? And it should not be कि next job मिला आप छोड़ के उस पे चलेगा. तो it is at least you have to give yourself 2-3 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Got you. And I can actually resonate. My first job, I got it primarily because, and I always say it fortunately, unfortunately, because I had a rank. Because there was a rank, I just got the job, in the hands. And the reason why I joined was that I said, okay, let me have some, thoda sa cash ikatha ho jaye, and then I'll leave. My first job I left in 1.5 years. Second was 2.5 years. And the third one was 3.5 years. Every time I was leaving a job, I was about to change, I had a business plan ready. I was working on it. And then, came an opportunity and said, chal, ye wala try kar le.
अभी थोड़ा और पैसा इकट्ठा
Thoda aur. And thoda will never be enough. So ultimately at the last one, I said, no, there is no third opportunity, fourth opportunity that we want to do. Why? Because you will keep cribbing otherwise. You'll always say that, I can do much better on my own. I want to do something of my own. But, thankfully at my end, it was just 31 years of age. So, the age was on the side. But yes, I can completely resonate with you that some of the things that you talked about, which includes preparing the mindset and preparing the family's mindset, is something that helped big time. Coming back to the core thought process, which is about data and analytics, we are talking about somebody who started working for data way back in 2000 and has been looking at it. And I'm sure you would have seen a sea change in the way the organizations, create data, maintain it, and then ultimately use it. So you would always have this example of businesses like Zomato, which are built just around data, right? But at the same point in time, it is pretty interesting to hear about the businesses like Motherson Sumi, which are very heavy into manufacturing, core manufacturing, and how have they been using data, and how has data helped them grow and reach to a stage where they are. I think I would want a few minutes of yours, delving deep a bit about manufacturing businesses specifically a conglomerate, uh, that too a decade back?
It all starts with the mindset. Okay, so a lot of companies definitely work on intuition, and some companies work on database decisioning. Okay, so let me explain you. Okay, so when I was working with Amex, so Amex used to have about 100 million credit cards. Okay, and they used to issue 4 5 million every year minimum. So to decide whether to give a card to somebody or not is a decision. Okay, to approve a transaction, which is like millions of transactions are happening every day.
Yeah.
To approve a transaction is also a thing, whether it's a fraud transaction, is
Yeah.
it genuine. So there is analytics built in into the operations. So financial services companies, especially credit cards, have to work on that. Okay, so financial services companies and insurance, BFSI is very high on data maturity anytime you look at, and they spend the maximum amount.
Yes.
The second type is e-commerce or digital businesses. ठीक है, you took the example of Zomato. अब Zomato को हर they have to see, okay, what product to show to somebody, what is the sorting to show, how much time will it take to deliver, is the person liking it or not, should I give him discount or not. It's again a product led growth. ठीक है,
Which
तो
vendor is bringing more
हाँ,
users to my platform?
yeah, which vendor is building, and plus they have built an ads platform onto it.
Oh yes.
तो उनका जो है डीएनए ही प्लेटफॉर्म है, तो दे आर वर्किंग एट अ प्लेटफॉर्म लेवल. ओके, नाउ लेट्स मूव टू कंपनीज लाइक मदरसन सुमी. ओके, एंड इंटरेस्टिंगली व्हेन मदरसन सुमी का मुझे जॉब इंटरव्यू का ऑफर आया था, मतलब नॉट इवन इंटरव्यू कॉल आया था, मैं देखा यार ये क्या कंपनी है, मदरसन डाइपर की कंपनी है क्या है, एंड इट वाज ओपन, द ईमेल वाज ओपन इन माय लैपटॉप, एंड माय फादर वाज जस्ट, वो कभी कभी शेयर करते थे लैपटॉप, पर्सनल लैपटॉप जो था वो, उन्होंने देखा कि यार मदरसन सुमी तो लिस्टेड कंपनी है, ये कितना बड़ा ग्रो कर रही है, इट्स अ स्टोरी इन इटसेल्फ. ओके, इट ग्रू लाइक इंडियन कंपनी एक्वायरिंग 2x बिगर रेवेन्यू कंपनी. तो उन्होंने कहा ठीक है सौरभ ट्राई कर ले, नुकसान क्या है. मैंने कहा चलो ठीक है, दिल्ली का फ्री ट्रिप हो जाएगा. And I went there and we had huge discussion कि they asked me everything about analytics, और क्योंकि मैंने सारे कंपनीज को पिच कर रखा था टाटा ग्रुप में, तो आई न्यू कैसे चलता है. टाटा मोटर्स के भी यूज केसेस बताते, सबके बताते. And if you know, Motherson as a group, you know, has grown on acquisitions. Okay, they have done more than 20 acquisitions in the last decade. And they like plant लगाते हैं, greenfield को बढ़ाते हैं, फिर वो they acquire companies and then they integrate.
Okay.
So one of the very big problem any analytics का any business faces is organizing the data. उनके पास एक ढंग का database नहीं होता है. And first thing which people like me who go and they will say, oh data state बहुत खराब है, data warehouse बनाना पड़ेगा, ये बनाना पड़ेगा, उसमें 6 महीने से कम 1 साल लग जाता है. The best part about there was the founder told कि Saurabh, what I have done is I have acquired a lot of companies. I don't want to change their ERP. I have put all their data into this database. Now I want you to come and use it and see what value can I derive.
Okay.
And what I loved about it is he has thought 3 steps ahead. He might not be using the right term, but he understands the power of data, and he knows that when you put data to use, something will come out. Okay, so मेरा timeline to succeed is 80% cut.
Yes.
Okay, and then we started working on fraud use cases, purchase synergy use cases, and they were like very very big impacting there. तो mindset तो था उनके पास, और data भी था, और use cases भी थे, तो sponsorship was very well aligned. And the founder Mr. Vivek Chand Sehgal knew the power that इससे कुछ हो सकता है.
Okay.
And it didn't went into a democracy mode. So manufacturing में the 2 biggest pain points, if you know, is one is very thin margins because it's a tier 1 vendor.
Yep.
It's a glass table calculation, and the second biggest issue is cash flow. तो वो कंपनी ना इसी पे ऑप्टिमाइज करती थी. देयर मंत्रा इज 40% रोस, रिटर्न ऑन कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड. रिटर्न ऑन कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड का न्यूमरेटर इज पैट या पीबीटी होगा, एंड डिवाइडेड बाय कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड, है ना, रिटर्न निकाला उससे. तो कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड में कैश फ्री कैसे करो. तो वी वर्कड अ लॉट ऑन inventory analytics where we looked at how can we free up cash sitting in the inventory, and we looked at how do we improve the profitability, look at defects, look at all the manufacturing areas. तो वो बहुत बड़ा impact आया था. So yeah, and the challenge with many companies is they want to do something very sexy on the AI side, कुछ बढ़िया करके दिखाओ, कोई बढ़िया डैशबोर्ड बनाओ, बट मेनी people don't realize कि फाउंडेशन में अगर डेटा नहीं अच्छा है तो आपका AI भी कुछ नहीं कर सकता.
So actually then it starts first with the mindset of the business, and then you take it to the next level, whether you say that okay, once the mindset is there, do you have the data which is ready?
हाँ, I would add one piece is expectations. What can it do for us? Okay, and what is the business metric can it move? Many companies want to do a project because they want to showcase to somebody. So I have met people who are said कि यार ये कोई अच्छा सा प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं ताकि ना हमें कोई अवार्ड मिल जाए, कोई मैं अपना मेरा प्रमोशन हो जाए. तो वो भी करना है, करो, दैट्स नॉट बैड, बट इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू शो बिजनेस इम्पैक्ट विद डेटा, then the value is nothing. And so my learning is I used to be a database manager, फिर मैंने उसके ऊपर कैंपेन्स किया, फिर मैं एनालिटिक्स किया, फिर मेरे को वैल्यू दिखी कि अगर आप बिजनेस इम्पैक्ट दिखा सकते हो then people will listen to you. And there the value is, it's not doing the grunt work of producing analytics, it is the grunt work of getting impact.
Interesting. So you're talking about the business impact that you can show, and within that, let's just delve a deep into the businesses. Take an example of a business. Let's get into deep, division by division, and try and understand how data can have an impact on it. You talked about mindset. You talked about the expectation of the leadership from the data, and I guess this is one thing that we notice in our regular interaction with the target businesses that we talk to, wherein everybody wants to see that that he's using AI, or rather showcase that he's using AI, and also saying that data is something that can help me, but expectation is something which is like it is a magic. We talk about it today, tomorrow let me see how can it have an impact. And I'm sure this is something which would also be differing with the kind of businesses that we are talking to. A GCC could be in a different stage as far as availability of data is concerned versus probably a mid-sized manufacturing business versus a business which is going omni-channel. And in your case, thankfully you have touched about all these kind of businesses. So would you mind getting into a bit of detail on helping us understand how does the expectation change with industry, and what it takes to set that mindset correct, or that expectation correct before you start talking about, do I have right set of data, what do I get out of it?
So see, before this whole Gen AI wave came, now uske pehle the wave was for big data and machine learning and all of that. Okay, and I've seen that wave happening. The problem is not setting the right expectation. It's lowering the expectation, and I'll explain you why. Because what happens is, unfortunately, with all the marketing happening by big companies, people have set unrealistic expectation कि सब कुछ हो सकता है. It's like a science fiction movie. Now, how people say कि अच्छा ये साइंस फिक्शन है, मैं जो कर रहा हूँ मुझे बेसिक्स ठीक करना है. Some people start with हमें साइंस फिक्शन करना है, and they keep on like moving into proposals. It's so at the end it's a owner's mindset to drive improvement. I should be better than yesterday. Some businesses, as we were talking about, digital native businesses, financial services businesses, where there are millions of transactions happening, especially platform businesses, they know the power of data. Okay, because their data and analytics, because they know कि उसके बगैर चलेगा ही नहीं.
Right.
ओके, एनपीएस बढ़ जाएंगे, फ्रॉड लॉसेस बढ़ जाएंगे, डिलीवरीज खराब हो जाएंगी. तो वहाँ ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं आता है. ओके, नाउ द की थिंग विच हैपेंस इज व्हेन यू स्टार्ट यूजिंग analytics and data to manage operations, to manage functions. Okay, that is where it starts looking at. Now everyone wants growth, everyone wants revenue, everyone wants profit, but the problem happens is when you start thinking about how do you manage the departments. Okay, so the biggest challenge I have faced is how much time does it take to convince a company to start into it.
Yeah.
The best of the companies don't need any convincing. उनसे आप आइडिया बात करो, कहीं एनालिसिस करके दिखा दो, कल डिसीजन ले लेंगे. देयर आर कंपनीज फॉर हु आर वेरी हायरार्किकल. पहले आप बात करोगे, फिर एक प्रपोजल दोगे, फिर एक एनालिसिस करोगे, फिर उसकी पीपीटी बनाओगे, उसको पहले उसके जीएम को दिखाओगे, फिर वीपी को दिखाओगे, कि फिर ऊपर दिखाओगे. तो उसमें ही आपका बहुत टाइम वेस्ट हो जाता है. गुड पार्ट अबाउट some of these digital native companies, I see the decisions are made very quickly, so you don't need to convince people. अगर आपने छोटा सा एनालिसिस किया एंड द आउटपुट इज वेरी वेरी क्लियर कि यार ये करना है, यू स्टार्ट अवे मूव इनटू एक्शन मोड. तो running the business using data is the key, and it works across departments.
So as a consultant, then it is majorly about understanding the mindset of the business. And when I say business, it is effectively the management who's taking the call. And if the mindset is something which is pro analytics, and hence they understand the kind of value that you can drive, it is easier. But if it is not, then probably it's not your cup of tea to make them understand how to change the mindset. I think this is what you are trying to tell.
Exactly.
That's interesting. But you also touched upon this bit that, is it that this organization is the one which is using data for making decisions just in, say, sales or marketing, or is it something that the organization has understood that data is available across divisions and departments, and hence is the organization actually a data first organization? And if that is the case, you would see the use cases of data and analytics cut across different divisions and departments. So would you mind touching a bit about what could be some examples of somebody using data to drive decisions in, say, in HR as a department, right? Because in a general parlance, frankly, at Zotter, when we discuss this with business, finance is something which comes up the first. That for us ends up becoming the foot in the door strategy, because finance says I already have some set of data, and there is always the issue that for the mid-sized business in India, wherein he said that I have some structured data, I have some unstructured data, and that interplay is something that is always a question. So that ways the entry becomes easier, as you rightly said. Giving the first set of analysis becomes much easier, right? Because you already have something available. But we always feel that there is a additional value that can come in when you start doing the same with other departments as well, right? So I think HR is one wherein we would generally do not hear people saying that, okay, I have done an analytics work for the HR, right? But I'm sure you should be able to throw some light around it.
So see, every department to me which is generating any information, analytics can be done. Okay, the first wave of digitization was to digitize the process. Digitize hota hai to process ka data aata hai. Okay, and with that data, if you look at how to optimize, okay, let me take if you mention HR, in fact, the best HR use case is not in a manufacturing company, it is in Google. So there is a very interesting video on people analytics. It's not even called HR analytics, it's called people analytics. Google ka ek hai. See, there is a big role of analytics in people analytics or HR analytics. So look at, especially not knowledge worker or product companies, look at companies which are driven by a lot of workforce. Okay, for example, offline sales. Okay, so if a company has 100 plus stores, one of the most important levers is sales at the store. But the sales at the store is driven by the people at the store. अब उसमें क्या होता है, many people get a fixed salary जो भी they are operating at, but they also have a huge variable component. Now how you design a very interesting incentive program can push the people to go much higher on sales. Other example could be, say, Uber the incentive program they had created that resulted into huge growth for Uber, because they are trying to do that. Okay, can the rider drive one more extra ride to get them? Okay, so this whole people analytics has a lot of options where how you drive the motivation of the person to earn more, resulting into a very quick ROI for the company to drive higher sales. The other area is, in many places, attrition is also a problem. Okay, and I was working for one of the companies there. The attrition rate was about 30-40% CAGR, compounded annual growth rate. In fact, उनके HR का 45% था, कंपनी का on an average 40 था, HR का ज़्यादा था. and they were always looking at कि अरे to control the attrition,
हाँ.
the way they were looking at data and they were saying कि अरे हमारा attrition for people who are old people उन पे focus कर रहे थे, people who are there in the system for 2-3 years. But what we did is we looked at the cohorts of the people who are leaving, and we realized the attrition was not at a problem of people who are more than 1 year. People who are more than 1 year, unka attrition rate was less than 20%. But the thing is, people who joined the company, the maximum attrition was happening in the first 3 to 6 months. तो वो प्रॉब्लम ये था कि when people join in, the company was growing very fast, so they were not taken care of well. लैपटॉप आने में 2 हफ्ते लग रहे थे, ऑनबोर्डिंग प्रोग्राम ढंग से नहीं था, मैनेजर खुद बहुत बिजी था. तो हाउ यू, जैसे होता है ना, एक घर में जब नई दुल्हन आती है तो यू काइंड ऑफ टेक केयर, एंटायर हाउस वर्क्स वेलकम्स हर. So if you don't take care of the people well in the onboarding time, the retention is a problem. And when we showed that analysis, the CEO was really amazed. And after that, few months later, they were hiring a new HR head. Okay, so the CEO and the founder said ki Saurabh, why don't you take an analytics interview for the person, for the HR head. तो मैंने भी उससे पूछा क्यों, मतलब why do you think I should interview them. तो उन्होंने कहा देखो, you proved कि attrition data ठीक से देखना चाहिए. Incentive is a big complex problem. Designing interesting compensation structure, ESOP policy is a complex thing. So having a basic acumen and respect for data is key. Because human resources में जनरली जब जो कोई जाता है वो जनरली आर्ट्स कॉमर्स बैकग्राउंड से जाते हैं, हार्डली मैथ्स साइंस वाले बैकग्राउंड से नहीं जाते. बट डू दे हैव बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ इट टू डू एटलीस्ट एट अ लीडरशिप लेवल. So there is a, मतलब I cannot think of any department. But one of the biggest challenge I had with a department is finance. While I respect all finance people because they work with numbers, okay, and उनका financial acumen अच्छा है, number acumen अच्छा है, but they have been the most difficult for me to work with because it's always like I cannot add too much incremental value because they understand the data, उनको अपना पूरा समझ है, पर challenge कहीं और होता है. But before I answer it, I want to ask you, what do you think is the scope of analytics for a function like finance?
Interesting. So, from finance perspective, actually, you are partially correct that, these are the people who have been, grown around the numbers. And for them, apart from the numbers, the definition is also something which actually matters a lot because, they are talking about different accounting standards and they need to work around with the taxation and other factors. So, yes, they should ideally be the people who understand data and analytics better than probably an HR or a person coming in from a different background. But at the same point in time, one thing that I feel is that within the finance, there is this misnomer, specifically in the mid-sized businesses, is that there is this one guy who's called CFO who's doing about everything, which is about making sure that the books are complete because, data transaction recording in itself suggests whether you would be having the right set of data when you want to extract out of it or not. He's the one who's responsible for making sure that the compliance is gonna be right. He's the one who's gonna be making sure that everything is in control in terms of the processes as far as finance is concerned. And he's the one who's gonna be helping you with the insights. But you would never see a person who actually understands or is able to pick up things grounds up as well as from a 5,000 feet view, right? So that way is you cut across the finance function and you see there are people who are doing on ground job. Now these are the people who understand their numbers, limited to that. And then there are people who are expected to be the ones who look at data from a business perspective. And this is where a CFO's role comes in. So in multiple cases wherein we see the real value that a business, extract out of Zotter's CFOs is that they say that you are asking those questions that nobody has ever asked us. And the question that you ask are mostly driven by a data. And interestingly, once you ask a question with data, there are biases is something which just goes away. If I am saying that you didn't make profit in this particular month and these are the numbers, you didn't make it. Or this particular segment of yours is losing money and the data is there, it is losing money. You cannot say, okay, no, this is probably right, this is wrong, no, this is doing good, see, sales was good. The sales was good, but you didn't make money. So coming back to the core, which is about the CFO, if you are talking to a finance guy, one, he should be the one who understands data better. Two, because he understands data better, and if he's the guy who's actually focusing just on the insights out of it, he's not the one who's pushed into the day-to-day job of it, he should be the best guy to talk to when it comes to a person like you. Why? Because a CFO, a true CFO, is the one who, one, understands the business, understands the number, and is hence able to actually add a lot of value to the insights that you are generating.
So if I may summarize, there are two parts of finance. One is the operational finance, which is about bookkeeping, reporting the right numbers, getting the audits and compliances done. And then there is the business finance, where
Yeah.
you generally create the business plan, look at your assumptions, and then you work on the growth of the company.
And actually add to it, look at the alternate data and see whatever you are trying to do is actually matching with the data which is not in control of your organization.
Definitely, Arun, earlier the time spent in bookkeeping was high with
Yeah.
huge amount of digitization happening.
Hmm.
Systems and processes have become more stronger. If the data quality is good, the time to manage books is reducing, but the time to add value to grow the numbers and see what is driving it. But उसमें मुझे जो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज लगता है ना, यू मेक लॉट ऑफ अजम्पशंस कि ये होगा वो होगा, मैक्रो डेटा देख लिया, बट कॉस्ट तो सब मीट कर लेते हैं, सेल्स मीट नहीं करते है ना. Now to me the missing linkage is the finance numbers meeting the operational KPIs.
Actually speaking, finance number per se is of no use unless you actually tie it with the operations number. So if I am saying that we spend 35% of my sales on marketing, you need to get into the details of marketing before you say that okay, this cost was good or bad. So most of the time when a good CFO is talking to a business, he should ideally be having a look at the operational MIS before he's actually looking at the financial MIS, because as I said, financial MIS, the number that you get is a codified number. Codified, I always say so, because this is basis what an accounting standard is telling you.
Yes.
Right. And hence the number that you need to look at could actually be different from what finance is. So real impact is where you can you'll end up having a very strong impact when you say, here is the finance data, here is the ops data, this is how they are tying to each other, this is how they are marrying together. And actually you see that's the reason in most of the good organization, CFO is the guy who's a growth partner for CEO. He's seen as the guy who could be the next CEO. And the only reason is because he's not just finance, he's majorly business partner.
Yes.
Right. So in my day-to-day work, this is a standard question that people say, what is the job of a CFO? What do I expect from a CFO? And mind you, I'm talking about the mid-sized businesses where we work. Most of the time, the expectation stops at saying cash flow management. Most of the time, it stops at cash flow management. And I would say it is where it starts.
That's the basic thing.
That's the very base, which is like goes without saying. But a lot of other things that can happen, because you're talking to somebody who understands business and the guy who understands the numbers together. And I'm sure with your experience you would be able to correlate that if you talk to somebody who understands business and is able to understand your analytics, there is a great value that you can drive.
And I've seen now there's a growing trend. Like earlier, the sales head used to generally become the CEO. Now with the digital businesses coming, a lot of product head or tech heads are becoming CEOs. Now in few companies where the CFO is playing a growth role, they become the CEO.
Why? Because ultimately you need to have a 5,000 feet view and be able to take a right set of decision basis the data. So when it comes to data, obviously that guy, that finance guy would actually.
I'll take another example. In one place we were working and so they were facing a challenge at the store level कि how do we improve the conversion of the store. Okay, so उनका कुछ 20-25% चल रहा था conversion rate. But what they realized is when we looked at the data ki why the conversion is low. Okay, there were multiple things which came out. One was ki is there manpower availability proper? Okay, are we covering all the full times at the peak footfall traffic? The second issue which came out after very deep analysis is the delivery time was high.
Oh.
Okay, in fact, I was talking to somebody from one of the burger chains. They were saying that the queue time, they started monitoring kitna time people are taking to reach the person to place order. They worked on opening more counters. When they cut it down, they saw a 10% jump in their revenue just by looking at that data. So what they did, they opened one counter, पहले manned, then they opened more unmanned counters. तो 5 अनमैन्ड काउंटर्स लगा दिए. आप बस एक बंदा उनको गाइड करा, आप सर ऐसे ऐसे क्लिक क्लिक करके परचेज कर सकते हो. तो बंदा उनका एक ही लगा, बट अनमैन्ड काउंटर से. सो देयर इज लॉट ऑफ पीसेज इफ यू स्टार्ट मॉनिटरिंग कि टू इंक्रीज स्टोर सेल्स इट्स नॉट अबाउट ओनली डूइंग मार्केटिंग. ऑपरेशंस में बहुत ज़्यादा अपॉर्चुनिटी होती है.
Right, right. So, Saurabh, we talked about the mindset. We talked about how data can have an impact. But there is one thing that actually comes out, which is about, okay, at the business level, there is a mindset wherein you understand that, data is something which needs to be there because this is something which is going to be helping me in the long run. But then comes the culture. There has to be a culture wherein the data is at the focus, whereas data is at the focus of, every decision that you make, right? And obviously, depending upon the size and scale of the business or amongst the within the life cycle where the business stands, it will vary significantly. We can actually, amongst the business sets that we are working with, we can see there are few wherein all of this is very cleanly available, and there are few wherein they say that if the data, for them, data is digitized because all of this invoices are available in a PDF, for example, right? So in your journey or last 2 years talking to businesses, what is it that helps people understand the importance of data culture, or what is it that comes out very clearly when you start talking about data culture? And for that matter, what do you really mean about that do we have a data first culture in your organization?
Yeah, it's a very good question and very near and dear to my heart. कभी टाइम मिलेगा तो बुक भी लिख देंगे इसके ऊपर. पर
without using AI?
विदाउट यूजिंग नहीं, विद यूजिंग एआई इज
With the help of AI?
हाँ, विद द हेल्प. एआई नहीं लिखेगा बुक और मैं साइन करूंगा. मैं एआई की मदद से लिखूंगा. ठीक है.
Yeah, so with the help of AI.
या सो सी डेटा कल्चर इज, कल्चर क्या होता है? लेट्स स्टार्ट विद दैट. ओके, कल्चर इज वैल्यूज. ओके, कल्चर इज वेयर you believe in certain principles and then start doing it every day across everything. If say your culture is customer first culture, जैसे Amazon का मंत्रा है to be the earth's most customer centric company.
Yeah.
Okay, so they start with everything you see, they stand for it and they are consistently consistent.
Yeah.
मतलब order time पे अगर उन्होंने एक दिन बोला तो एक दिन में ही आएगा. 99.99% एक दिन में ही आएगा, unless कुछ भूचाल उचाल ना आ जाए, बट वो आएगा. तो और से गूगल का कल्चर क्या है? गूगल कहता है कि वी ऑर्गेनाइज वर्ल्ड्स इंफॉर्मेशन टू मेक इट इजीली एंड एक्सेसिबल फॉर पीपल. तो दैट इज इन देयर मंत्रा. तो सर्च, एक्सेसिबिलिटी, मेकिंग डेटा यूजफुल फॉर पीपल, वेदर इट इज थ्रू सर्च, जीमेल, फोटोज में भी सर्च अच्छा है, तो वो उनकी पूरी चीज़ों में दिख रहा है. सो डेटा कल्चर इज वेयर यू स्प्रिंकल दैट. हम डिसीजंस लेंगे तो हमारे पास कुछ एनालिसिस होगी, हम gut use करेंगे, but gut will be supported by an hypothesis which will be analyzed and then it will be acted. Okay, great companies are great companies with data culture. ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ सेल्स और फाइनेंस में डेटा यूज हो रहा है, हर डिसीजन में हो रहा है. अच्छा ये जाओ, वो करो, ये करो, पता करो, एंड क्वेश्चनिंग आवरसेल्फ कि इट्स नॉट द हायरार्की ऑफ द पर्सन गिविंग दैट गट बिलीफ कि जितना बड़ा रैंक उतना बड़ा गट बिलीफ और वो ही कर रहे हैं. इनफैक्ट द प्रॉब्लम विच आई सी इज एज यू राइज हायर you are not in touch with the customer, not yourself, because आप 40-45 या 50 साल के हो गए तो एवरेज कस्टमर इंडिया में 25 to 30 का है. ठीक है, तो आप उसके जैसा भी नहीं सोच सकते.
बिल्कुल.
तो आपको जाके क्वेश्चन करना पड़ेगा, मुझे 2-3 कस्टमर जर्नी दिखाओ, फीडबैक दिखाओ, थोड़ा सर्वे करो, 5 लोगों से बात करो, थोड़ा एविडेंस लेके आओ. तो दोज आर द एलिमेंट्स टू डूइंग दैट थिंग. बट आज की डेट में द अदर प्रॉब्लम विच इज वी हैव सो मच ऑफ डेटा. ओके, so you can lie with data also. Okay, you can show the data which is making कन्वीनियंस टू यू कि मैं
Yeah.
जो बोलना चाह रहा हूँ वो मैं प्रूव कर दूँ, उतना बायस दिखा दिया, उतना कट दिखा दिया, हो गया। तो वो भी डेटा इलिटरेसी भी बहुत ज़्यादा है कि हम उतना ही दिखाना चाह रहे हैं। पहले इस वीक दिखाया, देखो पैट बढ़ गया, तालियां बज गई। अगले वीक दिखाया, नहीं नहीं पैट छोड़ दो, पीबीटी दिखाया, तालियां बज गई। फिर देखा, नहीं नहीं छोड़ दो, जीएमवी दिखाया, वो तालियां बज गई। पिछला वाला भूल जाओ। बट डेटा कल्चर इज you first set, okay, these are the 3 KPIs we will go for, okay. And in fact I would say the greatest of the cultures don't start with KPI, they start with an objective. There is a very interesting framework called OKR, called objective key result. इसके ऊपर एक किताब भी है which is called what gets measure what matters, okay. And this was a book written by Andrew, he was the CEO of Intel and he wrote it in 1960s. उसका concept था, फिर उसका concept लेके somebody in Google wrote it, and OKRs are something used in Google, Amazon, all these startups. Also in India में Flipkart में use हुआ है, and it starts with a statement which has a measurable output. Okay, for example, the thing is they will say हमें customer experience improve करना है. So our job, like we want to improve customer experience by 5 basis points on NPS from point A to point B, से 60 से 75 लाना है. उसके बाद नीचे 3 इनपुट आएंगे, कैसे improve करेंगे. The first point might be is improve delivery time by 5 days average to 2 days average. Okay, the second is collect NPS today has only say 5% response rate, we will take it to 8% response rate and learn more. So generally the difference between a KPI and an OKR is you start with a statement which inspires people, okay, and it should be customer backward more, and then you get into the measurement. जनरली क्या होता है, ऑपरेशनल केपीआईज बोरिंग होते हैं. 50 केपीआई होते हैं लिस्ट में, अब सब करते रहो, कुछ केपीआई ऊपर जाएंगे, कुछ केपीआई नीचे जाएंगे. उसमें ओकेआर में जो ब्यूटी है, इनपुट आउटपुट क्लियरली डिफाइन हो जाता है. पहली लाइन इज द आउटपुट, नीचे की 3 इज इनपुट. बट नीचे की 3 जो इनपुट है, हो सकता है किसी और डिपार्टमेंट के लिए वो आउटपुट बन जाए. और ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस टुडे ऑपरेट इन साइलोज. फाइनेंस ऐसे ऑपरेट कर रहा है, सप्लाई चेन ऐसे ऑपरेट कर रहा है, कस्टमर सर्विस ऐसे ऑपरेट कर रहा है. तो व्हेन यू डिफाइन गुड OKRs इट विल कट अक्रॉस लाइक दिस. एंड सप्लाई चेन इंप्रूव करना है तो स्टोर पे भी ठीक से चलना चाहिए, स्टोर पे भी ठीक से चलना चाहिए तो कम्युनिकेशन भी ठीक से जाए, कि व्हाट्सएप मैसेज भी ठीक से जाए. तो टुडे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैव टू ऑपरेट हॉरिजॉन्टली. That's where a good data culture starts building. It's not that you're only working for what my boss has said. I'm working for the organization.
One thing that we have tried with some of the smaller businesses which were growing was that at the management level we said whatever you decide from here onwards ask question, and next time onwards whatever decision has been taken for this week I want to ask you what data helped you do that. And what it did was over a few months everybody within the organization started saying that till the time the manager doesn't look at a specific problem with data, he'll not be able to explain it to his boss.
बिल्कुल, हाँ.
And hence over a good 6 months time we started seeing that everybody in that organization, as soon as a question comes, started saying, okay, how do I find a solution to it, because my boss is going to ask. As you said, same store sales growth didn't rise, why didn't it rise? So as soon as you say this was the problem, okay, tell me how you come to this conclusion. And we have seen that obviously in the smaller organization the time becomes smaller. The bigger organization obviously you'll have to work extra effort, you'll have to go extra mile to do that. But this small change actually made a huge impact. Only thing that mattered was that there was somebody who was able to ask the question that you took the decision, is it a bias or a data?
Yeah, it's a very important point, that asking questions of why are you suggesting for a decision, and also asking have you looked at this aspect.
So sort of data, we talked about data, we talked about analytics is something that you talk a lot about, right? And but today is the day when everybody is talking about AI. And there are different views, and I'm sure you would know about it, of the use cases of finance and AI, analytics and AI. And then there are questions that whether being probabilistic is sensible when it comes to using AI in analytics and stuff like that. So how do you see the whole area of data and analytics changing with the new tools that are coming around, with AI?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Arun. Uh, so I'll just step a little bit backward. About a decade back, to do the cost of doing analytics for a company or organizing data and building data warehouses is very, very, very high. And only companies with $1 billion plus revenue could afford it. When cloud came in, when open source came in, when a lot of these tools started coming in, it was affordable for everyone. The bigger cost was talent. Now, what has happened is with AI coming in, the cost of coding has also reduced. There's a lot of standard codes available, and the knowledge base is also available. So, if I go and write down, tell me 5 use cases of supply chain management or for analytics, will be easily it's available. So, the consulting part is also becoming easy. But what is not AI able to do is, if you even put your entire data to AI and you just ask, now, what was my last month's revenue? Could you trust AI to throw a revenue which you can go and report to ROC? Okay. So what we say is, as you took the word probabilistic and deterministic. Okay. Deterministic is, I can determine that all the information generated by this is financially auditable and I can represent. Whereas AI today, the one which has blown up is Gen AI, which can generate code, it can generate content, it can generate videos, it can generate images, helps to on the efficiency part. But can it do the final output? It is little bit far away. Okay. And there are two key reasons. One is hamara data is not yet organized well. And the second is the semantic layer. Okay, when I say revenue or when I say sale, कोई सेल विथ वैट, कोई विदाउट वैट, कोई जीएमवी, कोई जी ये वो इसको निकाल के ट्रेडिंग बिजनेस, वो सब पचासों कॉम्प्लिकेशंस है. एंड देन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड. आई एम श्योर दैट विल बिकम सिंपलर, बट इट इज नॉट येट देयर. So what I say is, whenever it's about deterministic AI, it is little tough, but the efficiency of doing it has improved a lot. And I would definitely urge for a lot of understanding, knowledge, use for content, use in marketing a lot, use for summarizing information. Say you have thousands of customers comment, can I put it there and determine in video presentation के लिए use करो, तो ये बहुत ज़्यादा efficiency है. Something you can trust to generate final KPIs, matrices and report is very tough right now.
But I guess still you would still agree that this is a time when about every business, for that matter, every expert CXO for that matter, should be looking at whether their organization is generating, right set of data which could be
Yes.
used, which is ready for AI at least.
Yeah.
And hence you've started using it. Obviously it is majorly about how you expect. What do you expect out of it? Probably expectation is way higher than what it should ideally be.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, you cannot be neglecting it.
Yes.
Right? You cannot be neglecting it, which means that to a larger extent, what was not acceptable or probably possible for a mid-sized organization probably 10 years back, as you rightly said, is possible now.
Yeah, and it's very affordable, and they can run experiments, do it a lot themselves, and there is no proprietary software to do it also. It's becoming so accessible कि आपको सिर्फ cost of platform आपको हल्का फुल्का देना है cloud का, and you can start running it. But you have to manage your expectation, run experiments, and improve every day.
Saurabh, we've talked about data, how AI is having an impact. What do you do with analytics? But on the other side, you talk majorly about, marketing. Diome, your organization primarily works towards supporting the omni-channel, growth for the business. Your podcast, Dil Se Omni, is again talking about the growth stories, the success stories around the omni-channel, and obviously with the use of data analytics and AI. So let's delve a bit deep into marketing and the kind of use cases that you've seen as yet, wherein these new tools, the analytics, and for that matter some of these AI tools, how are they having an impact? How are they changing the way marketing is seen by the business? Obviously, about every business wants to grow. Growth is expensive, and marketing is the area wherein you end up spending a lot of money, specifically where you are dealing with an end customer. right?
So there are two things which are happening, Arun. One is the customer journey is changing a lot. Okay, it's not that I go to a store, I buy and then I go away. Okay, so earlier the company used to only know the person purchasing. अगर उसका phone number लिया तभी पता चलेगा, नहीं तो कौन आके चले गया पता ही नहीं चलेगा. Now people go, they see a reel, they will look at it, they will click, they will then forget, then there will be a retargeting WhatsApp which is coming, then you'll say अच्छा चलो देखता हूँ, फिर ऑफलाइन में कहीं स्टोर पे जाके खरीदेगा और नहीं खरीदेगा, फिर से जाएगा मिंत्रा पे जाके खरीद लिया. So the customer journey is very online, offline, offline, online marketplace. तो पूरा convoluted journey है. The good part is at least the customer journey, some part is digitized and available for the brand. So if you understand the way customer is moving, all these platforms provide a way to market to them, whether it's on Google ads, whether it's on Meta ads, whether it's on marketplace ads, you can target them and bring them back
Yeah.
on the course. Okay, if you have the data about the person who's visiting, even better, you have the direct customer control. So omni-channel to me is customer changing behavior and using marketing to drive. Now, if you look at how marketing has changed over the last 2 decades, पहले most of the marketing was brand marketing. Okay, you run money on TV and print, and then you pray to God कि आपका campaign successful हो जाएगा. But now, and if I tell you there is about $1 trillion spent in marketing worldwide, and 70% is on digital medium. So what it means, you spend on anything which can be measured.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything on digital is measurable.
Is measurable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you can measure marketing, okay, you can figure out what was the impact of the campaign with some KPIs. Okay, earlier there was a famous saying that 50% of my marketing does not result uh, is waste. I don't know which part, which 50% it is. Now the good part is you have 70% measurable.
Yeah.
Okay, how we put that to action is a key influence which is happening. So use measurement of marketing on one end, and then use the omni-channel customer journey, and then see how you can influence it.
Okay.
So this is the area we work in. The other piece which I generally tell people is earlier all marketing was paid. Okay, today a person can go and create a good channel on YouTube or in Instagram or Facebook, by posting good content can create great distribution and drive sales without spending a dime on anything. So today the biggest thing is content. Now content has been democratized. Okay, and the platform is there. Now you can boost your content by throwing money. So the maximum amount of money anytime is spent in distribution. So I generally say there is a approach which I say is a CDA approach. C is the content, where you create a lot of content, reels, blogs, videos, carousels, and then put in. Okay, then you spend money. Generally people spend money on distribution, but can you leverage organic to distribute? Okay, can you throw interesting content which people are interested in, people would share, people would say, people would like, and once people love your content, it will come back.
They'll come back.
And if you throw good content which is performing, and then you put money onto it, that will even take it next level.
Yeah.
And then the final A is the action. Okay, action is what do you want them to do? Do you want them to come to the store? Do you want them to visit a website? Do you want them to download an app?
Yeah.
And when you do all these three things or in a decent manner, all of this starts giving you good results. Traditional companies still think कि money it's only brand. मेरे को एक सलमान खान, शाहरुख खान लाना है, and then brand marketing करनी है, जरूरी है, but for every business it's not required.
That is there. So effectively you are talking about being in a situation wherein somebody who's trying to build a brand or reaching out to customer, he'll be talking to a distribution channel in the form of a Meta or a Google to be the enabler to be able to distribute his content. At the same point in time, the content has to be built in such a manner that it has a longer shelf life.
Yeah. So shelf life na, as a topic, YouTube has a longer shelf life, Instagram has a shorter shelf life. But whether your content worked or didn't work, it will be coming out from कि अच्छा इसका organic reach कितना था, organic impression कितना था, engagement कितना था. अगर आपको वो पता चल गया, now you can then start playing around with it. Then you throw अच्छा ये work किया है, इसको double down कर दो.
Yes, and it's a beautiful play because in multiple businesses in our D2C, focused business in Zotter, wherein we help businesses, set up their D2C brands. This is one area wherein our experts also focus a lot, which is majorly about not just making sure that your ROAS is very high, or at least acceptable for the digital spend, the social media spend, but more about whether the story is acceptable, whether the story is something that can actually help you grow organically. So I'm completely with you on that.
Yeah. So I'll take an example of a brand. It's a brand of kids tiffin box, bento box करके है. And generally kids tiffin box आप कितने का खरीदोगे? 500-600 रुपए का. वो बेचते हैं 2100 रुपए का, 2100 rupees. Okay, but it's a very amazing tiffin box. Properly seal हो जाता है. प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है टिफिन में, आप दाल या कुछ लिक्विड नहीं डालते क्योंकि स्पिल हो जाएगा, मिक्स हो जाएगा, तो आप जनरली सूखी सब्जी, रोटी या सैंडविचेस या नूडल्स वगैरह रखते हो. बट दे हैव डन इज दे हैव क्रिएटेड लाइक दैट जापानीज बेंटो बॉक्स, वो क्लियर. नाउ इतना एक्सपेंसिव बेचना बहुत मुश्किल है. ओके, सो व्हाट दे स्टार्टेड डूइंग, देयर द फाउंडर स्टार्टेड रनिंग created content, multiple things, कभी कुछ किया कभी कुछ किया, but they stumbled upon कि the problem is deciding what to put in the tiffin every morning. Okay, तो दे स्टार्टेड क्रिएटिंग दैट इंटरेस्टिंग रील, और उसमें दिखा देते हैं एंड में कि अच्छा उन्होंने पैक किया, और फिर पैक करने के बाद टिफिन गिर गया, फिर उठाया देखा सब ठीक है, एंड देन दे स्टार्टेड. So this, after running experiment, they realized कि just putting content about interesting tiffin recipes for kids is a great thing. वो experiment से आया and then they scaled up. Now the founders don't do, they have run very good influencer marketing campaign, अब वो हर जगह available है. तो content plus distribution drives action, and you keep measuring what works.
Right. So Saurabh, when we are talking about content, and actually, there is always this thought that marketing is something which is very prominently used in a D2C business or a B2C business, but at the same point in time, B2B is also business. For example, a consulting business, right? Is also a business wherein they need a cycle. They need a framework wherein they are able to reach out to their business, their target business, their potential clients on a regular basis. And there as well, I think content is something that can actually help a big time.
Yeah. So I would say in B2B, the content distribution and action is more easy. Okay, because people are always trying to search. Okay, and when somebody searches, the probability of conversion is higher than discovery. अगर मुझे बेंटो बॉक्स की रील देख के करना है तो, बट B2B में क्या है, people might be looking in कि I am looking for somebody, they might say P2B का
a virtual CFO, for example.
A virtual CFO, उनको शायद solution भी ना पता हो, उनको पता होगा कि मैं P2B के problem से जा रहा हूँ. अब if you are creating content, okay, you might write an article on how you have helped people solve a P2B problem, or a cash flow problem, or an inventory management problem, or different things. And there is this guy named Alex Homozy. He talks a lot about content driven marketing framework. वो कहता है, if you are not sharing everything what you have learned and what you do, you're not sharing enough. अगर इतना ही easy है पढ़ के करना तो सब कर लेंगे, चैट जीपीटी भी है, बट अगर आपने अच्छे से शेयर किया, somebody might discover you and come back. Yes. And that is what I also try. I have almost done in the last 2 years 125 blogs now. But what I've seen, today I was talking to a company who we were talking, and he said, Saurabh, we have read 6-7 of your blogs and exactly that problem I'm trying to do. तो मेरा अप्रोच क्या था कि मैं गया इस क्लाइंट के साथ, उसने बोला ये वाला क्वेश्चन है, मैंने उसके ऊपर एक लिंक्डइन पोस्ट बना दिया, एक ये कर दिया. तो B2B के लिए easy है क्योंकि you are dealing with 10-20 problem statements. You write down content, create videos, run podcasts, share your learnings. If they find you interesting, they will call you for a conversation.
Right. And
getting discovery is the biggest thing to go for.
And this is one area where a lot of people are not actually doing a lot. So there is a huge opportunity lying there. Sort of apart from the marketing bit of it, for that matter, even the data and analytics. Coming on to the Diome, you started it about 2 years back, and you've been helping business with the omni-channel, growth. Obviously, this is what we have done with some of your previous organizations as well. But would you like to share, any one or two, interesting insights that you've got specifically with respect to businesses which were online alone or offline alone and were looking to go, the other, check the other channel. may it be a business which is doing decently good offline with the stores, but has never had a great online presence.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great question, Arun. And I have worked with both online first brands trying to go offline
Yeah.
and expanding, and there are offline first brands trying to go online. And दोनों की similar problems है. ठीक है. प्योर ऑनलाइन ब्रांड्स की स्पेस खत्म हो चुकी है ऑलमोस्ट. ओके, रीजन इज व्हाट इज इजी टू सेल ऑनलाइन इज बुक्स and very standard products, accessories and all. But say if you want to buy a jewelry, you want to buy clothes, even shoes, it's not easy to buy online. Online आप देख लोगे, ऑर्डर करोगे, रिटर्न रेट 20-25% रहेगा.
बिल्कुल.
तो इकोनॉमिक्स बैठेगी नहीं. तो यू हैव टू गो ऑफलाइन टू गो ट्राई फिट सी. सो ऑनलाइन इज अ कैटलॉग. ओके, many businesses they still think online का मेरा P&L अलग है, offline का P&L अलग है. They will try to optimize the channel. But what happens is people spend 6 hours per day online and 3 hours on social media scrolling. मुझ जैसा बंदा तो 4-5 घंटे बैठा है, कभी लिंक्डइन पे बैठा है, इंस्टाग्राम पे बैठा है. सो द इन्फ्लुएंस इज हैपनिंग ऑनलाइन. हम रेस्टोरेंट्स भी डिस्कवर करके फॉरवर्ड करते रहते हैं, यहाँ पे छोले भटूरे, वहाँ के ये. तो वी आर एक्चुअली सेंडिंग पीपल टू द स्टोर. ओके, अब क्या होता है, वो पावर ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंसिंग द कस्टमर जर्नी, बिजनेसेस यही सोचते हैं कि ये ऑनलाइन का पीएनएल है, ऑफलाइन का पीएनएल है, उसके सीटीएस चेंज नहीं करते. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ऑनलाइन बिजनेस विल मैक्सिमम गेट 1-2% कन्वर्जन ऑनलाइन, बट बाकी 98% को क्या कर रहे हो आप? आप कह रहे हो अगर मैं इसको स्टोर पे भेज दूंगा तो मेरा 2% बिजनेस कैनिबलाइज हो जाएगा. भेज दो स्टोर पे उसको.
Yes.
अगर आप उसको स्टोर पे भेज दोगे, स्टोर पे कन्वर्जन आपका 30-35% होता है.
And this is what Lenskart is able to,
And everyone
prove as
today, if
well.
you see Lenskart, Carrot Lane,
Yeah.
Sleep Company, Jiva, Duroflex,
A lot of these
बहुत सारी
guys are
कंपनीज
able to
जो
crack.
omni channel क्रैक कर रही हैं.
Right.
They use data to create processes, they scale it up, they keep adding departments, they keep adding stores in a very methodical manner. So my learning is, don't treat your online offline as a different P&L. Treat it's a omni channel customer journey.
Yeah.
Look at जिसने स्टोर में नहीं खरीदा, मैं उसको ऑनलाइन कैसे भेजूं? क्योंकि लोग स्टोर में खोल के देखते हैं प्राइस, अमेजोन पे क्या है, वेबसाइट पे क्या है, इधर उधर चेक करते हैं. तो उसको भेजो, जाओ आप ऑनलाइन खरीद लो. Yeah, so I experiment a lot on AI tools, and I almost spend 10,000 rupees per month on my experiments. But one tool which I'm super impressed is Notebook LLM. Okay, LM. It's a tool by Google. So the interesting part is, you put a video, put a document, anything into it, it can generate a very interesting mind map, it can generate a very interesting deck, it can generate a podcast, audio podcast and a video podcast very nicely in it. So I have tried in my podcast to create a carousel with it, and apparently my son also started using it for his JEE preparation. उसने उसके वीडियोस डाले केमिस्ट्री के, उसमें क्विज भी बन के आ जाता है, माइंड मैप बन के आ जाता है. तो इट्स अ वेरी गुड टूल. Google is actually giving run for money to many people. Their secret hat is Notebook LM.
Actually, yes, we created a nice mind map coming in from some of our past podcasts, and it was really good. You are pretty active on LinkedIn, and I can see that you've been able to create that buzz around the target people that you want to talk to. But what is that one skill that you see on LinkedIn about yourself which is secretly overrated?
It's AI.
What AI?
So that's an interesting question. So I see I'm as a student of AI. I generally claim to be expert on AI, but there's too much to cover in it. Agentic AI है, ये है, हर तरह का AI type हो रहा है, and I still fail to catch up on lot of things. So if you ask me, I'm like 1 or 2% there, but yeah.
So you say that you are probably not as much of an expert of using the AI tools?
I'm a student
as
of AI, trying to use it, but when I use it, I go very very deep in using it.
Hmm.
मुझे 50 चीजें नहीं पता होंगी, मुझे 2-3 पता होंगी, but I use it more.
Great. And here comes the last and the most important thing, actually, for that matter. What is that one skill that you think you want to focus on, building for yourself in the year 2026?
Yeah. So one thing I would say, it has been 2 years since we started Diome, and we got some good early successes. We saw a lot of clients getting benefited of our consulting and execution services. So now is the time to grow and build and scale up. So my focus is on generating more leads, generating more distribution, generating more sales. So I'm learning, maybe coming on your podcast is a method to get exposure. So scaling is not for myself, it's for the team's growth also.
I think mine was to spend less time in office and spend more time talking to people like you. So before we close, Saurabh, any closing remarks from your side?
Yeah. So Arun, it was great coming on your podcast. I have been benefited with a lot of our friendship. You have been one of the persons whom I have had multiple rounds of conversation, from simple things to how to set up a company. In fact, your services helped us set up our register our name, open up the ROC, all those things. It was happening. But more important is how do you look at growth? How do you set up the right foundational elements? Not only for me, for my wife also, you have been a sounding board and your company, but the way you are building with Zotter, building the consulting practice by having CXOs available for the businesses is a very interesting thing. I have shared my knowledge and I have watched some of your podcast and have learned a lot. I hope the audience finds it interested and would love to have conversations.
No, it indeed was a pleasure talking to you, Saurabh. We'll talk about a few of these topics in detail. We'll see you soon on this
Chalo,
same
great.
platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much.